When I think about women, like just thinking about women in general, I think about beauty, I think about femininity, I think about nurturing, I think about caring, but that's just because I've been brainwashed all my life. None of that's actually true about women in a general sense. Beauty, femininity, I can't remember the last time I met a woman that was beautiful and feminine. I don't think feminine women even exist anymore. And forget about women being kind and caring. I don't know if that was ever true. One thing I've learned throughout my life is that women are easily the more hateful gender. I've had that proven to me time and time again. And now we have data to prove it. A recent poll from the UK asked men and women how they view the opposite sex, and 72% of men said that they have a overall positive view on women. While for women under the age of 25, only 35% said they have a positive view of men. That is a shocking difference. Imagine the headlines if a poll found that the majority of men had negative views about women. I mean, mainstream media already tries to gaslight us into thinking that's how it is. There's some really interesting things from this study, so I will get into that in a minute. But it reminds me of something that happened to me in my childhood that was maybe my first little taste of how guys like me get treated by females. So this was probably in the first grade, maybe even kindergarten. So I was very young. Well, I remember I was at recess, just standing around by myself because I was afraid to try to ask anybody if they wanted to play with me. Then these two girls called me over. They were standing by the chain link fence that we had that was surrounding our little recess area, like the fence around our little playground area. So I went over there. And by the way, like I said, this was first grade, I think. I was not interested in girls in that way yet. So I was just happy to have someone to play with. So I went over there, and these girls tell me they're throwing rocks over the fence, trying to hit a tree that's on the other side. So, I'm thinking, hell yeah, that sounds like a good time. Even now, at 37 years old, give me a pile of rocks and a target, and I'm good. Okay, that sounds like an action packed, fun time afternoon. Maybe it's the Neanderthal DNA coursing through my veins, but I love throwing rocks at things. So, yeah, these girls called me over, and then all three of us were throwing rocks over the fence. And then, I'll never forget this because I think it was the first moment that I realized just how conniving some people can be. Or I don't know if that's the right word, but just it showed me how, even from a young age, females just hate us for no reason. So we're throwing rocks over this fence. Then a bird landed on the other side of the fence and it was just pecking at the ground. And it was like right in front of us. So we all stopped throwing rocks and we were just looking at the bird because it was acting kind of weird. I think it was already dying or it was sick, anyways, because it was, I don't know, just the way it was moving around. Like the bird was obviously not doing well, but this bird right in front of us, it swallowed a rock. Okay, the bird ate a rock. I don't know if it was one of the rocks that we threw over there or if it was just a rock that was already there. But the bird swallowed a rock and then it started rolling around on the ground all crazy. And I don't even know if the rock had anything to do with that. It seemed like it did, but like I said, the bird was already acting weird, so who knows? Well, about a minute or two after the bird ate the rock and started rolling around all crazy, it stopped moving completely. And we all just stood there and we're watching this, me and these two girls, while this bird ate a rock and apparently died. I've still never seen anything like that again, by the way. I don't know if that's something that happens often to birds. or if there's a certain disease that birds get that make them want to eat rocks. Because, like I said, the bird was already acting weird before it ate the rock. But either way, after the bird stopped moving, the two girls ran screaming to the teacher and they were making a big scene. They told the teacher that I was throwing rocks at the bird and I killed it on purpose, which surely they did not actually believe. They knew exactly why I was throwing the rocks because they were the ones that recruited me to join them in throwing rocks at the tree. Obviously, I did not expect a random ass bird to eat one of the rocks and die on the spot. If that's even what happened, it could have just been a rock that was already there. But yeah, so the teacher comes over to me all mad, like, "Is that true? You killed a bird?" And the girls were there, like, "He did it! Look, there it is! It's dead! He killed it!" So I told the teacher, no, we were throwing rocks at that tree, and the bird just came over and ate a rock. So then the girls kept telling the teacher that I did it on purpose. And I don't know, maybe they actually thought I did. That obviously wouldn't make any sense, but I don't know. We were all little kids. So maybe they really thought I had a special way of throwing rocks that made birds want to eat them. I don't know. But those girls ended up telling everyone in our class that I killed a bird, that I killed a bird on purpose by throwing rocks at it. I didn't get in trouble or anything like that. You know, I'm pretty sure the teacher knew it obviously could not have been intentional. But kids in my class after that, they kept coming up to me like, "Why did you kill a bird? That's wrong. You killed a bird." And you know, we were all kids. Everybody forgot about it the next day. So, like, it wasn't a big deal, but that was the first time I experienced an attempted character assassination by the hands of a female peer. And it wasn't the last time. And all of my interactions with females since then have all been pretty similar. Or not every single interaction. I have had a few positive interactions with women over the years. It's rare, very rare, but it has happened. But generally speaking, that has been my experience with women. Cruelty and hatred from them towards me. That has been my experience. Yet it is women that say that they have negative views about men, while most men actually have a positive view on women. Is it all the mainstream media gaslighting? Is it all the propaganda that always makes women out to be the victims and makes men out to be creepy villains? That's got to be a part of it. Or maybe it's projection. Maybe it's all projection. They hate us, so they just assume we hate them too. I don't know. But going back to this recent survey from the UK, and by the way, this is a survey. It's not hard science, so you should take it with a grain of salt. But I think the results are interesting, to say the least. I mean, it's truly elucidating to see just how large a discrepancy there is between what women say they believe and the actual reality that they're living in. So get this. In the survey, they asked young men and young women how they feel about the economy. And young women in the UK who do officially earn more on average than the young men in their nation. And yes, that is a fact. It was young women that were much more likely to say that they feel the economy does not work well for them. They feel the economy works against them. Despite the hard data proving that young women in the UK are doing far better than young men, young women are the ones that say it's not working in their favor. And they might be right about that in a sense. I'm not super knowledgeable about UK economic policy, but I'm sure it's like it is in most places where boomers and wealthy elites are the ones that are really benefiting from the system. So most young women probably aren't in the best position if they aren't upper class. but they're sure as hell doing a whole lot better than the men their age. And I think the responses here speak volumes to the way women think versus the way men think. I think what we're seeing here in this data is that men are self reliant. Men tend to blame themselves for their own shortcomings. Men see the world spitting in their face and they think, well, shit, maybe I should wear a face shield. Women see things differently. Women don't think like that. Women tend to view things from a lens of oppression. It's always someone else, namely a man, that is holding them back. Even though they are not being held back. In reality, they're being pushed forward by the system, receiving all kinds of benefits and affirmative action. Objectively, they are faring much better in modern society compared to their male counterparts. But women tend to see things from the standpoint of being a victim. Now, whether that comes from their human nature or if that's brainwashing, that I don't know. Maybe it's a bit of both. But just looking at this data, seeing what women say versus knowing the actual reality they are living in, how could I trust or believe anything a woman says? Honestly, how could I? Every person is an individual, so I still like to give people the benefit of the doubt if I'm just meeting them for the first time. But just looking at their responses in the aggregate, looking at their behavior in the aggregate, it would be ignorant to trust a woman, generally speaking. Just going by the numbers, it's ignorant to believe that what a woman says actually lines up with reality. Young women in the UK obviously have the economy working quite well for them. Yet young women are the ones most likely to say that the system is against them. It's the opposite. Everything they say is the opposite. I feel like I just can't trust women. I can't believe what they say. I cannot trust they're gonna do what they say they're gonna do. I can't believe that what they say happened actually happened. And that's bad, okay? That's not good. In order for a society to function properly, you need to be able to trust that most people are mostly honest most of the time. But women are like 51% of the population, and I feel like I can't trust a single one of them. That's how bad it is. They deceive with their words, they manipulate with their actions, they mislead with their behavior. They even walk around like have you ever thought about how most women you see walking around are essentially wearing a disguise? They cover their faces in makeup. They wear these skin-tight yoga pants that lift and sculpt and completely change the appearance of their lower half. Like, I'm telling you, half of the hot women you see out and about strutting around in their spandex breeches, they aren't really as good looking as you think. They look good with the yoga pants on, but that's because yoga pants are basically like a corset. What's inside usually ain't as good as what you see from the outside. But that kind of deceit is normalized in female culture. It's deceitful, it is dishonest, but it is normalized, and most of them are doing it. Not even just most, but probably 99% of women are frauding on their appearance with makeup or some kind of special clothing on a daily basis. But it's normalized, and they don't see any problem with what they're doing. I dare you to try mentioning to a woman how it's misleading when they cover their face in makeup and see how they respond. They'll act like you're some kind of raging misogynist, like you just want to control women just because you prefer women to present their true self to the world. And the double standards, like, what do you think happens when a man gets caught wearing shoe lifts? Women will paint their whole damn face, making themselves look like a whole different person, then at the same time They'll make a laughing stock out of any man that dares to try to make himself look half an inch taller. Because lying is for women. Lying, cheating, and any kind of fraudulent behavior you can think of, that's normal for women. That's just another day. Meanwhile, a man tries out a hairpiece one time and he'll never live it down. A man frauding on his appearance? That's just downright deceitful. How could he? What a frickin' loser. A woman painting her whole entire face and wearing special pants to completely transmogulate the entire shape of her lower half? Nothing wrong with that. Girl power, that's normal. That's encouraged. Just like cheating is encouraged when it's a woman. But it's the most evil betrayal in the world when a man does it. Cheating is bad, by the way. You should not cheat on your significant other, man or woman. But women do it all the time. Women will be dating a guy while also still browsing the dating apps daily, getting raw dogged on the side, dating other guys, but she and all her girlfriends will justify it like, what? That's normal. She's just dating. They weren't exclusive. They never said they were exclusive. I don't see a ring on her finger. As if anybody actually thinks that kind of behavior is okay. If a man does the same exact thing to her, actively dates other women at the same time he's dating her without making it clear that's what he's doing, any woman in that situation would call it for what it is, cheating. But they do it with impunity. And they either can't see the hypocrisy or they just don't care because nobody calls them out on it. I don't know who needs to hear this. Women, if any of y'all are watching this right now, when you're seeing a guy and you've been on, say, 2 or 3 dates, especially if you've already hooked up, the assumption we all have as men is that it is exclusive at that point. That does not need to be said, okay? We don't have to say that out loud. Exclusivity is the assumption when you are dating somebody. And I think women know this. They just play dumb for plausible deniability. But they know that we would not want the girl we're actively dating to also be in the quote unquote talking stage with several other guys at the same time. No man on this planet is okay with that. That is cheating, plain and simple. But that's how most women operate. That is the standard female dating strategy, to date multiple men at the same time while not actually making it known to each of those men that she's seeing the other guys too. That's just how women date. And yes, I know men do it too. Probably more men would do it if they could. Most of us just have to take what we can get these days. We can't date multiple women at the same time because there aren't multiple women willing to date most of us, or even a single woman in my case. But that type of deceitful behavior is normalized amongst women. But when a man does it to them, they act incredulous, like, how could he? And the other thing too, a lot of women really do not realize how lopsided the dating market is these days. They truly do believe that their experience is universal. They think the average man has just as many prospects as the average women. They have no idea how bad it is for most of us. So they think just because they're all juggling a roster of men, that means that every man is juggling a roster of women. But that could not be further from the truth. And honestly, I don't know how a person could be that lacking in awareness of the world going on around them. But that seems to be how most women think, as far as I can tell. So cheating is normalized. Being fraudulent is normalized. Wearing a disguise that's just normal. It's normal. The vast majority of them are doing it. But all the things they do on a regular basis, all the things that are normalized in female culture, when a man does the same things, he immediately gets called out on it. And most guys just let it happen because older guys came up in a time when things were a bit more fair for men. So they don't care, they already got theirs. And guys my age and younger have just been beaten down our entire lives. We're all just so defeated and demoralized at this point. It feels useless to try to change a woman's mind on these things. And it is useless. But that's how it just keeps getting worse and worse. Women keep gaining more and more ground on being able to get away with more and more fraudulent behavior and trickery, just dishonest, scandalous behavior. Like, well, it's not cheating because we've only been seeing each other for a couple months and he never said we were exclusive. He never said I couldn't give another guy a hand job under the table 30 minutes after meeting him at the bar. He never specified that. You know, they justify these things as if it's not obvious what sort of things are and are not okay to do when you are actively dating somebody. Okay, we all know what's okay. It's not rocket science. If you are seeing somebody, then it is not okay to be swiping on Bumble every night. That's obviously not okay. And if you are actively on a date with your boyfriend, then it's sure as goddamn fuck not okay to invite some other guy that previously fucked you to join you at the dinner table. That's obviously not even remotely acceptable. That hypothetical scenario I just mentioned. It's fucking ridiculous. But that's the kind of thing these broads be doing these days, okay? Like, that's they act like that, for real. So that's why I say, I do not trust or believe a single woman these days. It would be ignorant to take anything that a woman says at face value. I've heard this saying before. It's something like, judge a man by his words, judge a woman by her actions. And I think there is some truth to that. Ultimately, I think that you should just judge everybody by their actions. Actions speak louder than words. But I think there's some truth to the notion that men tend to say what's on their mind when dealing with women, but women will do everything but say what they really feel. I don't know what it is, but they just tend to operate in a very, like they're always walking the line between plausible deniability and their true intentions and what they say their true intentions are. And the lines are very blurry. Is that by design? Yes, I think it is. I think it is by design. In most cases, they are intentionally keeping the lines blurred so they can live in that zone of plausible deniability. Men can't do the plausible deniability thing because men don't get the benefit of the doubt. Women can just keep their intentions shrouded in a cloud of plausible deniability because they do get the benefit of the doubt. Halo effect. Women get the halo effect by default, so they can use plausible deniability to their advantage and live their entire lives fraudulently, being deceitful in all their dealings of the heart and mind, toying with innocent men that have few options while they live in abundance, and they get away with it all. And it's all normalized, and it's encouraged. Yet still, we need more women in STEM fields. We need more women in positions of power. Give me a fucking break. If anything I said in this video resonates with you, or if it made you think, please consider watching some of my other videos. There's also some secret videos you can watch for free on my Patreon. No sign up required, so check that out. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.